This week on The Digital Coffee, are TikTok about to launch stories? Instagram shares the secrets of the Reels algorithm, and Snapchat maps get more business friendly. All that and more after this. Good morning, and welcome to The Digital Coffee. This is your weekly dose of digital marketing and social media news. My name is Amanda Webb, and as you can tell, I need my coffee this morning. Did I just mix up TikTok and Snapchat? So I obviously haven't had it. I have had 2 cups of tea. I'd love to know what is in your cup. And if you are on Facebook and you'd comment at all, so it could either be what you're drinking, it could be an answer to the question of the week, which is, do you watch online tutorials? I will send you by messenger a copy of the Digital Coffee newspaper, which you can sit down and read in your own time and follow the links. If you're watching on YouTube, like Deirdre, you can get a copy of that newspaper. I have pinned to the top of the chat the way that you can get an email every week with the Digital Coffee newspaper. And just before I get onto your comments, which I can see have been coming in, just a few things. Firstly, to let you know that at 10:30 a.m. over on Twitter, I'm hosting a Twitter space with Mei King Zhang, the amazing FOMO creator, where we will discuss these topics in further detail. And you can come along, you can just listen, or you can actually join the chat and have your say as well. So don't forget that 10:30 on Twitter, and you'll find a pinned tweet to the proper top of my profile where you can access that. And I think that's everything. So let's see what you're drinking. Good morning to Katie. Great to see you here. You're having chamomile, vanilla and manuka honey for the morning. That sounds incredibly healthy. I do like manuka honey. Good morning to Deirdre watching on YouTube. We have sun in Wexford. Fingers crossed it sticks away. And the forecast is off. Well, I can see a little bit of blue sky in a thigh as well in front of me. You spend hours a day, every day, watching online tutorial videos. You love them. So as you may have guessed, there is a story about online tutorials, which we will talk about later. But I would love to know, do you watch them? Is that all you watch? If you go to YouTube, is that why you're going? Because you want to watch a tutorial? I'd like to know that as well. And yeah. There's news. I better talk news, eh?
You're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
With everyone copying TikTok, it's kind of surprising to see this week that TikTok are launching stories. They're launching stories. This is what they may look like. Now, they're on the side instead of at the top. That's slightly different, but essentially they're the stories that we know of on other platforms. Why would TikTok do this when every other social network is scrambling to copy TikTok? Well, I have some thoughts. We've seen it over the last few weeks, the last few months, that TikTok are working really hard to get businesses to create TikTok style content that fits in with the platform, because they need businesses on the platform to run ads so they can make money. And businesses are pretty rubbish at this, you know. You can't just repurpose a video you've created somewhere else for TikTok unless it's Reels. It doesn't really work that way. They're very unique. They have a special style. So by introducing stories, they're introducing something that businesses are already familiar with, a type of content that they can create easily, that they are creating on other platforms. So will this attract more businesses over to TikTok? Is this a good idea? Or is it just a terrible idea? Because didn't Twitter just axe its story feature fleets? I don't know how this is going to pan out. I'd love to know your thoughts.
Hey, it's Andy at Content Cal here, and you're watching A Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
Understanding social media algorithms is a good way to help you get more reach on your content, so you're reaching more of your target market. And It's also a good way to know what you should avoid. If you understand it, you'll know what isn't going to work, what the platforms themselves penalize. And that's why I think it's important when a social network lists some information about how their algorithms work, we should pay attention. Now, before I get into it, I don't think you should be chasing algorithms. You shouldn't be a slave to the algorithm. You need to still think of your audience and create content that you think will engage your audience. But the algorithm obviously does play an important part of your marketing. And this week, in a carousel post, Instagram shared some tips on how their algorithm for Instagram Reels specifically works. And here's what they said that you should do. They said that the signals that affect the reach of your reel are, firstly, how likely are people to watch it all the way to the end? And that, I think, is important because with the length of reels extending, like we talked about before, you still need to be concise. You can't have any babble. You want to make it interesting from beginning to end. So just because you may have 60 seconds now, you don't have to use those 60 seconds. Secondly, people who like those reels, people who will say that they've enjoyed it or they found it entertaining or interesting or funny, that's a positive signal. Or people who watch your reel and go straight away, they're inspired to go and create their own reel. So they go and create one immediately. That is the strongest signal. So if you can make a reel that is good enough to watch to the end, so keep it as short as it should be. If people find it entertaining and amusing, if they're going to find it funny, that works. There definitely needs to be positivity within reels. That's the way that Instagram frames it. And if it's inspirational, so it looks like something somebody could copy. So we know one of the benefits of reels and TikTok is that people will try and jump on a trend and do something similar themselves. So the second signal is how you have interacted with the creator before. So you're going to see more reels from the creator that you have engaged with before. You're also going to see more reels that are similar to reels that you have engaged with before. And it also depends on the type of information. So the music track that you're using, the video that you're using will depend how high it appears in the Reels feed. And also how others react to that creator. So we talked about how you've reacted to that creator. If you're liking and commenting on all their reels, then of course you're going to see more from them. But in general, if people are liking and commenting on reels from that creator, that is going to get extra distribution. So that's the good stuff. What shouldn't you do? Well, some of this is no surprise to you. Firstly, no low resolution videos. They want quality. So, you can't shoot something small or blow it up. That's not going to work so well. And also anything with a watermark. They don't want you repurposing your TikTok video and reels. I know we see it, but it should technically be further down the feed if you do that. So try and avoid doing that. I know it's difficult because you don't want to create content for each platform. The final thing is really interesting, and I think it goes back to that positivity spin. They want positive content on Instagram, is basically no politics at all. No political causes, no posts by politicians, no posts by people representing politicians, no post by just a random person talking about a politician. So that is the signals. I think the most significant thing is the quality of the video is there. It has to be watchable from beginning to end. It has to inspire people to do something, whether it's to engage with the post, whether it's to comment the post on the post, or whether it is to create their own post. Now, to be honest, I think to create good Instagram Reels is a big job. It's not something you can just do in a couple of minutes unless you're extremely talented. So if Reels is part of your Instagram strategy, maybe cut back on the number that you're doing and focus your attention or the time that you're spending on creating fewer but better Reels. Good morning to Kate. Hello, Kate. I watch tutorial videos if there's something I need to know. Yes, exactly. I watch lots of tutorial videos like that. And you know what? The quality of them doesn't matter so much to me as long as they answer the question that I'm there for. And good morning. Katie says it's so helpful to know that stuff from Instagram. I love when they share these updates because it really does give us an idea of if we are using that platform, what it is that we should be doing.
Hi, I'm Carmel Siri and you're watching Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
What if you want to add your voice to a short form video or a narration to a short form video and your voice is just not, it's not going to cut it. It's not right for what that you're doing. Well, this week Instagram is testing a new tool called text to speech. And what this does is basically what it says on the tin. You type in the words and it will convert it into a voice. And this could add a nice narration to your Instagram Reels. This is specifically for Instagram Reels. And I think I like this. This isn't like last week when we were talking about the voice effects that you could put on your own voice. This is going to be really useful for people who would like to have a voice on there, but maybe you've got the wrong accent, or maybe you stumble on your words, or for people who have difficulties with speech. It's a great accessibility tool. It's a great way to be able to put your words into sounds for people who want to hear rather than read. I think this could be a great addition to Reels. Apart from the accessibility, those voices could make it sparkle. Now, of course, the big question is, will these voices sound just over automated? Well, not necessarily. I just pressed a lot of buttons. I hope I didn't do anything wrong. Not necessarily. I think what could happen is I use a tool called Natural Reader to proofread the stuff that I write, and I find that the voice on that is quite good. It doesn't get everything right. I laugh every week when it says TikTok instead of TikTok, but it is quite good. And the voices that we've heard are connected with this, and I'll link to the tweet from the guy who discovered this, actually sound pretty amazing. So of course there is going to be an automated slant, but it's going to be way better, particularly for people who have difficulties with speech. I think this is I'm going to give this a double thumbs up. I think this is a great innovation from Instagram. Katie says, that's interesting. Yes, the Twitter voiceover effect sounded scary. This sounds very interesting and could be fun too. Yeah, I think so. And I was even, I was on a space, which I'm going to talk about later today, with the people from Twitter, and they were testing out the voice changer. And actually, it's really hard to hear what they're saying with some of the voice effects. This is doing the exact opposite. It's giving you clarity. Natural Reader, what a great idea. It's really good. It's a free tool, so definitely check it out. And yeah, the voices sound pretty natural within it, so I think it's one of my go-to tools.
Hi, I'm Kyra Fingleton from Glamping Under the Stars, and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
How can you get more people to watch your live streams on YouTube? Says Amanda, as she live streams on YouTube. Well, good news. If you have over 1,000 followers, I don't. And if you have no strikes, that's okay, I don't. You will soon be able to add a short trailer to the scheduled page for your live stream. And this will be brilliant because this is a way for people who maybe don't know about you already to understand what the broadcast is about, what you're like, and whether it is worth tuning in. So I think this is a fabulous idea, and it could be a way to get more people to click on the subscribe button or the reminder button to make sure that they don't miss the show and they tune in. For sure, I will be using this when I get to that 1,000 subscriber limit. If you don't have 1,000 subscribers, it's okay. There is something there for you too. They are adding a live chat poll feature. So if you're watching on YouTube now, give us a wave. If you're watching on YouTube now, you'll see there is a live chat function where the comments come in. And within that, you'll be able to put a poll, which is a great way to get more people engaging on YouTube without them having to type out a comment. Now, the downside for this, for me, is that I wouldn't be able to manage that along with everything else I do for this show. It's already enough buttons to press, as you've already seen. So it would be hard for me to do alone, but it is a good reason to have either a live producer or an assistant who could put up the polls at the correct times within YouTube. And it's great to see YouTube adding new live stream features. Of course, last week we saw TikTok adding new live stream features. And this is all, I think, about the advent of more live shopping. And we're going to see that coming to YouTube soon. So the more they can get people using the tools and engaging now, the easier it is for them and you to make money from selling online later on.
Hi, I'm Charlie Lawrence and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
If you are a local business, Snapchat is giving you a bit of a boost. Yes, I said Snapchat. Snapchat, yes. People do still use Snapchat. In fact, after a completely vague conversation, so this can't be data science, I discovered that the people who seem to be using Snapchat now are the youngsters who used it when it was first created. It's a bit like maybe you and me who use Facebook. We're using it because it was new and trendy when we started using it and we're stuck with it. So yes, people are still using it. And this week they've added a new feature to their maps, which showcases local businesses. So I jumped into Snapchat, this little thing came up, and then when I went in, I was able to identify all the local businesses and I was able to click in to get more information. I could even recommend it if I wanted to my friends. Now, what was surprising to me was how many businesses were there straight up. Surely all these businesses aren't using Snapchat already? And they're not. I can tell you that they're not. But one of the things, I think they must be pulling in the data from Google, because when you go into that detail page, it looks like the information you get on Google Maps. I think this is incredible for businesses who do have customers who use Snapchat. I think this is great for local businesses. It's going to be a great way for people to discover you. And lots of people do still use Snapchat, so it's not a completely abandoned platform. And the good news as a business is if your Google profile is up to date, and if indeed that is where they're getting the information from, you don't need to do anything to be discovered. Good morning to James, who's watching on YouTube. Great to have you here. Should YouTube have polls? Yes, no, just show me the answers. I love that. Thank you. Obviously, going back to our YouTube story, I would love to, I may in the future have to hire an assistant to add polls, because you can already do it on Facebook. I just don't, because there'd be too many buttons for me to press during the show.
Hello, this is Rob Charles, the voice of Mike on Forever FM on Peter Kay's Car Share. BAFTA award winning, I've got to say, but I've not seen the BAFTA yet. Anyway, you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb. Enjoy. I'm on tea. Shh.
If you host a Twitter space, obviously, one of the priorities is getting people to join, getting people to show up. There is nothing worse than sitting there in your Twitter space waiting for people to arrive. And Twitter have just announced some updates that will make this easier. And actually, right at the end, I'm going to share a big update with you that they just announced last night on their spaces. So firstly, fleets have gone. Fleets, the stories that were at the top of your feed if you access Twitter on mobile, are gone. And all that space is now dedicated to spaces, which means they're going to be more prominent and people are more likely to click in because they can see that these spaces are going on. So that's good news. Secondly, they're making it easier to share spaces. So if you've been in a space this week, you will notice there is a little blue tweet button at the bottom of the space, which I completely ignored and had to faff around trying to share. But now when you click that tweet button, it's actually going to auto-populate the tweet for you before you had to go and type something in before you shared it. So I think that is going to be really useful. They've also, if you're one of the lucky ones to be in the test group for the Spaces tab, which will be at the bottom of your Twitter feed, that brings you into active spaces. But now you're going to be able to search for the host of a space so that you can actually, if you say, oh, Amanda Webb Spiderworking is going to be doing a space at 10:30, you'll be able to go in and search my handle or my real name from there to find me as a host. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can just visit my profile. It's pinned to the top. So all of those will make discovering your space a lot easier. So what's the big news? I just happened to jump in on a Space by Spaces last night to hear the latest updates. Now, I missed a few of them, and some of them I may cover next week. But the most exciting one, if you've ever hosted a space or been on a space, the most exciting one is they're adding official co-hosting. So at 10:30 this morning, I am co-hosting a space with Mei King Zhang, the FOMO creator. But technically, she's not a co-host. She just comes in and I let her speak. Now, when I get the latest update on my phone, I will be able to add her as an official co-host. And she will be able to moderate the chat the same way I can. And I think that is so much needed. And I'm absolutely delighted to see it from Twitter. If you haven't joined a space yet, I challenge you to come and join my space later on. It's great fun and you always go away feeling a bit of a buzz because we've been chatting to people, which for a lot of us is still something that is hard to do. Some of us are still in semi-restricted world.
Hi, I'm Charlie Lawrence and you're watching The Digital Coffee with Amanda Webb.
LinkedIn just bought a new short form video content tool called Jump Rope. So they're getting in on the short form video format the same way that Instagram Reels has and the same way other platforms are looking at doing. But what's different about Jump Rope is Jump Rope was specifically a tutorial tool. It was a short form video content tool that encouraged you to create tutorials. It had templates and layouts that you could follow to easily create these tutorials. And this could be huge for LinkedIn if they keep that tutorial aspect there. Firstly, it's their way of differentiating their short form video content. You know, fun and wacky content like you see on TikTok, like you see on Reels, doesn't really have a space on LinkedIn unless it has some sort of educational value. And this is the twist that they're obviously thinking of putting on their short form video content. It would encourage me to look at LinkedIn again. As most of you know, I don't use LinkedIn very often. You know, I post there, but that's about it. But this could be a really good way for a lot of businesses to share tutorials that can help them get into their sales process. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I'm looking forward to seeing it get rolled out further. Good morning, Making. Did you hear the news that we're going to be able to have co-hosts on Twitter Spaces? We shall definitely talk about that in our Twitter space. Yes, good point. LinkedIn plus Jump Rope short form tutorial videos will complement past SlideShare and Lynda acquisitions, which are all about education, absolutely. And Making is drinking tea. Of course she is, because if you're unaware, Making's Twitter handle is Making Tea, which I think is the best Twitter handle I've ever seen. That is it for the Digital Coffee for this week. But don't forget to join us on that Twitter space at 10:30 a.m. I so need my coffee today. Can you tell? Can you tell? I'm hoping you can't really tell. I've just told you. I will see you at 10:30 on Twitter Spaces. Look at the pinned tweet on my profile on Twitter at Spiderworking. Come and join us. Come and chat about these updates. And if you can't make that, I will be back, same bat time, same bat place next week.